Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions, MC and producer. And today joining me, and I'm so glad to have them, are AJ and Max. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi,
Hello.
we're doing fine. Yourself?
Good.
I am doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good here. Now tell me, give our audience a little bit of your background and, tell me about yourselves.
All right. So my name is Max Sandifer. I'm a rising junior at Indiana University.
Mhm.
I study political science and Spanish, and then I also have a minor in communication and public advocacy. I'm from Indianapolis originally, but I go to school in Bloomington at Indiana University, and I'm very involved in like a lot of the local and national campaigns that go on both in Indianapolis and in Bloomington. And I do a lot of advocacy and activism work in both of
Oh,
those.
wonderful. Wonderful. What about you?
My name's AJ Strange. I'm a rising sophomore at Indiana University. I'm also originally from Indianapolis. I'm a
Mhm.
gender studies major, and I'm currently searching for a minor. I also like to get involved in the community in Bloomington and Indianapolis. And one way that I've done that is I'm part of Shelley's Voice Advocacy Group, which is an advocacy group our main focus is the advancement of the LGBTQ plus community. But we really don't shy away from any movement. So whether it's Black Lives Matter, stuff within the LGBTQ plus community,
Mhm.
we just like to be a strong voice in the community.
Before even get into the work that you've been doing in the community right now, give our audience a taste of what Bloomington is like. Set the scene for me. What is Bloomington giving?
Yeah. So if a lot of people don't know, there was a very, very terrible racist, what can only be described as a near lynching that occurred in Bloomington on the 4th of July. So there's this really gorgeous lake called Lake Monroe, where I've taken a wild edible plants class down there, and we
Mhm.
went there to find really gorgeous things down there, and we've gotten to see the sights and do all that. And so they were having I think a lunar eclipse festival that same day.
Yeah.
And so this man, Vox Booker, who is actually very politically active within the community as well, he ran for city council in 2019 as well. I saw him on my ballot. So
Yeah.
he's very well known within the community. He was going down there, and a bunch of racist white people essentially drug him up to a tree and tried to murder him. And it took like 5 or 6 white Bloomington residents to essentially say, get off of him, like stop
Wow.
that, and basically pull them off of him to make sure that he was okay. And so a lot of times Bloomington is seen as this liberal, kind of progressive,
It's considered kind of the liberal pocket.
of the southern
Yeah,
Indiana.
we live in Indianapolis, which of
Ah.
course is the capital of Indiana, which is very much like liberal democratic. But down in southern Indiana,
It's not as
it's
great.
not as great. Martinsville is really close to us. Martinsville is known to have a lot of problems with racism.
Yeah, Martinsville is actually a sundown town.
Yeah,
It's
Oh,
known as a sundown town.
wow. I see.
So it's pretty bad in that
Yeah.
area. And so Bloomington is supposed to be seen as this sort of like liberal, great, hippy dippy place where people all get along together. But there's still so many problems with that town,
Mhm.
and they never really fully addressed them.
mhm.
And this was just one of many incidents that had happened. There was also um a man who was stopped by an off-duty cop from
Mhm.
another town over for simply walking while black. Like,
Oh,
he literally
wow.
had done nothing, and he was
Mhm.
just walking in his own neighborhood, and he got stopped by a cop and had to, like, talk with him and give an interview and all that, basically give the rundown to him. And then there was just a ton of incidents that always happen. One of my friends said it best, that like Indiana University doesn't really fully address a lot of the racial I always say incidents that happen in that town, and instead they just use black people as a photo op and minority people as a photo op rather than really address the issues
Mhm.
that go on in that town.
Wow. So, all of this going on, I guess, has spurred you guys to become involved, especially in the community, especially
Yeah.
because you guys are there now. So you guys have become very much involved. Tell me what this experience has been like for you with the protests and the demonstrations. Like, have you done anything similar in the past?
Yeah. So with the protests, I've been to a few protests. Like he with Shelley's Voice
Yes, with
has done
Shelley's
a lot
Voice,
of.
we've had some, nothing to this magnitude, but I have been to some smaller ones up in Indy for Shelley's Voice. And hasn't been the first Black Lives
Mhm,
Matter protest that we have had in Bloomington. We actually just had one about a week or two ago,
mhm.
I believe. And then, of
Yeah.
course, we had one that was right after the death of George Floyd.
And then
We
we
had
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 this one
one.
after Vox
Yes.
Booker's incident. And
Ah,
so
wow.
and so yeah, I've also, like, we did, like, I remember in high school we did the walkout after the whole Parkland shooting that had happened. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I do a lot of activism work within politics. Like I've worked on, I haven't worked on, but I've volunteered for city council campaigns. I've done a lot of stuff to try and make sure that the community is bolstered. We've had a lot of new progressive figures within Bloomington who have unseated incumbents who are more moderate because
Yeah.
we want better change, but we're seeing now how even that's not enough,
Mhm.
honestly. And so we went to the protest, and it was honestly a wonderful experience. It was really community building. It was great to see so many people come out and hold our leaders accountable. We were chanting about, the different leaders who weren't active in our community. There is Erica Oliphant. She is
Mm-hmm.
our county prosecutor, Monroe County prosecutor, and she has not made a single statement on the incident, let alone taken any action. And recently, yesterday, the FBI has gotten involved now and is investigating the whole
Oh,
incident as a hate crime, which is like a national
yeah, of course. And she
crime.
still hasn't said
And
anything.
she still hasn't said a thing about it, even though the FBI has came. And so one of the things we did is we went in front of the Justice Center and we chanted, "Erica, do your job." Um, and it's just been a lot that's been going on in our
Mhm.
town, and it's just
For
we're
me,
hurting a
yeah,
lot.
and for
Yeah.
me, it's just been really surreal, the whole experience, because we've gotten involved before because, even when it's not happening in our own community, um, I know Max and I find it, really important to get involved,
Mhm.
because it's just really important for everyone to put their voice out there so that they know, there are many of us who are standing up. It's not just, a specific place at a specific time, we're all getting involved. But now with us living there, he and I, we go to school there. Now we're leasing our own apartment there. And so that's why I think this just like really hits home, because we need to let the people of Bloomington know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's seen as this, liberal place, but we're telling them now, um, here's what's happening in the community, and we have to rise up um,
Yeah.
and
Because
Yeah.
they
face
give
the
the
problems
perception
in the
that they
community.
are, that this liberal place, but you're not seeing the work being done. You're seeing the
Mhm.
injustices still being carried out,
Mhm.
and nothing is being done to stop it. But the
Yeah.
perception is that it's this progressive place. And, as people living there now, you realize that's not necessarily true. And
Yeah.
therefore,
Yeah.
some change must come about. Some change must come about. That's really, really important. Now, tell me, what resolution do you hope that there will be regarding the incidents that have been happening there and everything that's been going on, and what systemic changes do you look forward to happening there?
Yeah. So there has already been a little bit of progress made towards the situation. One of the big things I want both of the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources officers, to be fired without pay.
Mhm.
They obviously There was an incident. This is another incident that had happened where these I think there were these black teenagers who were on a boat in Lake
Yes.
Monroe, and this was like a few days before the incident, and basically the DNR came and told them that they can't be on the boat or something, and one person stood up for them, and that person got arrested and like
Oh,
taken off the
wow.
scene, and it's like, okay, so you can arrest those people and you can take them away, but there was a racist incident that occurred that almost killed a man, and you
And nothing
can't,
has been done. Yeah.
they weren't even arrested on the scene. You know, there was video, people were showing them cell phone
There
video
was
when it
several
happened.
eyewitnesses.
Several
and we have
eyewitnesses.
video evidence.
Definitely.
Video
And,
evidence.
I was reading an article about it yesterday and on Reddit, actually. And within the article, they were like, the perpetrators of the incident, they are unknown. But in the Reddit comments, they were like, oh no, honey, we
No,
know
they are
who
known.
They
they
are
are.
known.
Like,
We
they
know
are
where they
known.
work. We know their
Yeah.
name. We know
We've
their phone
posted
number.
about like they work
Yes.
at
We know
X
what
and
they
X
look
company.
like.
It's just excuses.
Mhm.
So that's the first thing, is to fire those 2 officers who clearly don't know how to react to a scene. Honestly, I want to see action from Erica. I want to hear what she has to say. Her a position is an elected position. I think she was elected. I don't know if she was elected in. I think she was elected in 2018, and I think she's up next in 2022. And so, if we don't hear anything from her, I would love to see a primary challenger for her who will actually care and actually make statements and bold statements about what's happening in this town. I'd love to honestly defund most, or if not all, of the Bloomington PD, the IUPD, all
Yes,
that.
we actually, and this was talked about a lot at the protest, we actually have at least 8 different organizations who
Police within Bloomington.
Bloomington. So we have a sheriff's department.
And how big is Bloomington? Like, what's the population like?
It's not very big. The students make up the majority of the population.
Wow, and
population.
so that looks like
the
a lot of
majority.
policing for, for a place like that with
Yeah.
not much population, with most students.
Exactly.
That's a lot
I mean,
of
we have the
policing.
DNR, we have the sheriff's office, we have BPD, we have the
IUP.
IU has their police department on campus.
They have police departments for high schools. It's just so much, and it's so bloated and overinflated. And so I would really like to see just, at least a reappropriation of budgets to make sure that it goes into like our education, our parks, so things that really are more important than overinflating the police department. Also, this is what really shook us up, is that when the protests were ending, there was a woman and another man in a car who essentially just ran down 2 protesters. And we saw it personally with her. It was really traumatizing. And the IUPD and Bloomington PD have been sluggish trying to figure out, who these people are. They still haven't, everyone has given them the license plate number. They have given them the car type. They have done everything. Basically, they've shown them the video, and they still haven't identified who these people
I
are.
know. I don't get it. I don't get it. I saw
don't
that
understand
too.
why there's no warrant. We have video. They were literally, we
were there.
just left. There were at least 20 to 30 people who witnessed it happen.
People got photos.
We have
of the license
eyewitnesses.
plate.
We have the photos. We have several videos of the incident.
If they have photos of the license plate, the police department can easily just run it through their system, and they will figure out who it is. And it's
speaking of that, I reading another article I did yesterday about the car incident. The article kept saying the car runs into crowd. Car, like giving the car was the subject. And I'm like, honey, there was someone driving the car.
Exactly.
Who was driving the car? Who's the driver?
I've been seeing a lot of ignorant posts on social media about the situation.
I was there on the scene, and I was so worried that something like this would happen, or tear gas, because last protests the police used tear gas and in Bloomington, that I live streamed almost all of the protests, all of the march. And then right when it ended, I was like, okay, I'm fine now. And I turned it off. And literally right when it ends, and I've turned it off for about 20 or so minutes, this incident happens. And it's just like, you are disappointed and you are extremely saddened, but you're not surprised about this happening. And it's just so disheartening to see this happen, because this happened before. A Black woman got her foot ran over by a car at another protest in Bloomington. I think it was 2 protests ago. And so it's just, all these problems are compounding in our town. And I'm just so mad that there hasn't been enough exposure about this, and that people aren't seriously, our leaders in our community aren't seriously debating what, you know, how messed up we are and how we're putting like a cloth over the problems of this community and trying to make us seem like this amazing place when there's so much wrong with
And you
it.
can't deny that there's racism within Bloomington, because in the video and from the eyewitness accounts, you know, they're saying the incident on Lake Monroe, they said, go get a noose. It's
Noose,
clear
yeah,
that
they
they
did.
wanted to lynch him.
Mhm,
This is
mhm.
a hate crime.
And they were saying very, very
Exactly.
racist comments in
And
general.
with this person violently running over a protester, they knew where they were, and they knew why people were there, and they knew what they were doing. They clearly sped
Yeah.
off. They knew what they were
And
doing.
we were cooperative with traffic the entire time. We were
Mhm.
leading cars. It's not like we were completely blocking the road. Even if we were, that's no excuse to run
Yeah,
people over.
Exactly.
of course not. Of course not.
It
Of
was
course
just,
not.
it was just a traumatizing
And I'm seeing a lot of ignorant comments that, oh, well, these people were trying to get, you know, they were surrounded by a mob of savages.
There were three
There
or
were
four.
3 people trying to cross the road. It was so peaceful. Even when we were walking together, it was very peaceful. These people had no reason to run over anyone. They
My
truly did not.
goodness.
And
Well, go ahead,
Yeah.
go ahead.
It
Well,
was
you know,
just,
guys, I love one of the things I love the most even about this is the fact that you guys are using your social media, you know, as a tool, you know, using it as a tool to get the word out there. I'm
yeah.
glad that you guys would come on here to even spread the word even more. And if our audience wanted to follow your social media to keep up with you, to see what's going on in Bloomington, how could they do that? As well as let them know how they can support you guys and, you know, support change there in Indiana. You know, how can they do that?
Yeah, so he is not
yeah,
social
I'm not
media
as
savvy
active
as
as he
me,
is.
but I'm very active on social media. I usually use my Instagram for more personal stuff and like
Mhm.
talking about my life. I do a lot of activism on Twitter, and I like tweet about events that are going on. My Twitter is just Sandefer123. It's SANDEFER123. I made it when I
Mhm.
was 14. I wasn't as creative then. Um, and then if they want to follow me on Instagram, it's just MAXY underscore and then 1 million with numbers, because my name's Maximilian and I thought it was funny when I was 15. Yeah. And then
Yeah, mine, like I said, I'm not as active. So if you do follow me, it'll probably just mostly just be me retweeting stuff that he did. So, but mine is A Strange 1519. That's ASTRANGE 1519. And I'm the most active on there. I probably won't get my Instagram. I typically don't post anything political on there. And other ways that you can get involved is, and you can see it in our social media, we'll be posting that there are going to be more rallies.
Yeah.
We are not going to remain quiet. That was a huge, you know, point made while we were speaking before the march.
We're going to keep calling Erica
We're gonna keep
Oliphant's
calling.
office to demand she does stuff, calling the DNR's office to make sure that they fire that person, signing petitions you see around.
Yep.
We donated to the GoFundMe.
There's a GoFundMe page for the person who got hit,
the
protester who got run over.
There's GoFundMe for Vox Booker to make sure that he gets counseling fees,
Mhm.
the emergency room fees that he had to go when he had to go down there, all those kinds of things, you know, signing petitions, doing whatever you can, just making your voice heard is the most important thing, and making sure that this isn't quiet and that this isn't, you know, this doesn't go away.
Maybe most
Definitely,
importantly, go
definitely.
out and vote. And that's just so
Yeah,
important.
just
Make sure you
vote as
register
well.
and go out and vote on
Yeah.
voting day, because it's just super important that we have people in
Yeah, in Indiana, you can vote, you can register to vote online. It's a very
Mhm.
easy and simple process. You just have to go to indianavoters.com and
Awesome,
you can
awesome.
register.
we need to elect these officials who we are sure who are gonna, you know, be our voice and are gonna stand up for our right.
And then when we
everyone's
elect
rights.
them, then we hold them to the fire. You know,
You
hold
and
their
yeah,
feet to
got
the
to keep them
fire.
accountable. You have to keep them accountable, definitely. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you
thank
so
you.
much
Thank
for
you
the
so
work
much.
that you're doing in your community. Of course, it has been my pleasure. Have a good one. And maybe I'll see you next time, but I'll be following you on social media to see what is going on with that. This is a very, very, very high profile story. And just to see you guys being there on the scene, doing the legwork, it is great to see. So thank you guys for joining me today. And to our viewers, Thank you for watching. Goodbye, everyone.